Told you it wasn't a big deal, Sonata boasted. I used to live in the water, you know. No way are these 2 gallons of apple cider is gonna... Sonata suddenly stopped speaking when she felt a very uncomfortable pressure from her bladder. Sonata crossed her legs to ease the pain. Uh-oh. I think now my bladder's full of apple cider. Sonata quickly turned to Trixie. Where's the bathroom in this place? Sonata asked Trixie with her pleading tone. Trixie sighed heavily and pointed towards the other side of the restaurant. The bathroom is just down the hall, Trixie answered in her flat tone. Just follow the arrow. Thank you, Sonata cried. Sonata immediately leapt up from her chair and quickly ran towards the hallway as fast as her legs could carry her. I gotta go! Once Sonata disappeared down the hall, Applejack turned towards Adagio with one of her eyebrows raised. Nothing fills her up, huh? 2 tall slim men with red and white streaks of hair were carrying a huge box of food in each side of the hallway. Remind me again, my dear brother, why we are even working at this crappy restaurant, said one of the men, with a red bushy mustache on his face. I already told you, Flam, the other responded, without a mustache. We need to make some more money before we start going back onto our feet with our new business, just to make up even more money. You just got to be more patient. Well, at this rate, I don't think I'll have any more patience left. Especially in this dump, Flam scoffed, as he struggled with his side of the box he was carrying. As the 2 brothers were ready to make a turn to the next hallway, they failed to notice a blue teenage girl running towards them. Gotta go! Sonata crashed into the Flim Flam brothers, which caused them to drop their cargo onto the ground, and bumped into the sign on the wall. The arrow was knocked off from the sign and landed on the floor. Both Sonata and the brothers were on the floor in a daze. Tiny pony versions of themselves were spinning around their visions. Once their heads were cleared, the brothers turned towards the fallen cargo, frowning at the sight of a half-open crate with spilled frozen food on the floor. The brothers were turned towards Sonata with irritated glares. Sonata smiled at them sheepishly. Sorry about that. Her eyes then landed on the half-open crate. You dropped your box. You don't say, Flam said flatly, rolling his eyes. As the 2 brothers were picking up the spilled food and putting them back into the box, Sonata stared at them deep in thought. These guys look familiar. After watching the brothers for less than a minute, her eyes suddenly lit up. Oh, hey, I remember you 2. Weren't you the 2 con artists that once owned a pawn shop in Camelot Town and then suddenly lost your business in less than a week? The 2 brothers stopped cleaning up their mess and gave Sonata their annoyed glares when they heard they say, con artists. For your information, little girl, Flim hissed. We would have still been in business if not for the same country hit girl who accused us for taking her base. Which we bought fair and square, Flam added. Then lost credibility to our customers, Flim jumped in, and caused us to go bankrupt, Flam shouted, slamming his fist onto the crate in frustration. And we are certainly not con artists, Flam sneered. We would prefer ourselves as promoters, said Flam, with his head held high. Sonata blinked, and then tilted her head with a confusing look. Isn't that the same thing? Flam was about to open his mouth to make a rebuttal, but Flam interrupted him. Forget about her, Flam. We still got a job to do. The last thing we want to happen is for us to get fired from this job. Flam's eyes widened with realization. Oh yes, you're quite right, Flam. Let's go. As the brothers finished clearing up and resealed the box, Sonata quickly stood up from the floor. Hey, can either one of you please tell me where the bathroom is? As the brothers lifted the box from the ground, Flim gave Sonata an icy glare. You have eyes, Flim said coldly. I suggest you follow the arrow. Come, my brother. The Flim Flam brothers walked away while carrying the box and disappeared down the hallway. Sonata frowned at their retreating figures. Well, that was rude. She turned towards the sign as Flim suggested, only to see that the sign was bare except for the bold word bathroom on it. Now, where's the arrow? I don't see an arrow. Sonata looked around the hallway until she spotted the arrow on the floor, underneath the sign. Aha, there it is! Sonata picked up the sign and turned towards the sign again. She was about to place the arrow back onto the sign until she realized that she doesn't know the direction the arrow was facing, which leads to the bathroom. Sonata was deep in thought. There's only 2 hallways, and one of them leads to the bathroom. Okay, all I need to do is to approach this with the most logical manner possible. And I know just how to do it. Sonata smiled, and then she covered her eyes with her left hand. She then used her right hand and pointed back and forth to the 2 different directions of the hallway in order. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch the dragon by the toe. If the horse let him go, my mother told me to pick the very best one, and U-R-I-T it. 4 real C's. Sonata uncovered her eyes to see that she was pointing towards the left hallway. Aha! Sonata exclaimed with a smile. That's where I need to go. Arya said to me that I don't have logic. Oh, joke's on her! Sonata placed the arrow back onto the board and have it pointed to the left hallway, and then she hurried down the hall to get to her destination. Sonata arrived in the front of a middle door at the end of the hallway. She opened the door and stepped inside, letting it slam shut behind her. As Sonata looked around the room, she noticed that this bathroom looked very different. The colors on the walls were grey and made of metal, including the floor and ceiling. There were piles of boxes almost on each side of the room, except for the one wall that was occupied by a metal cart and various frozen meats hanging from the ceiling. There were also multiple fans, overhead lights, even icicles, which were hanging almost everywhere around the room. This is a very strange bathroom, Sonata wondered out loud. How come I don't see any soap dispensers? Before she could look any further, she began to shake from the cold air within the room. Brrr, it's freezing in here, Sonata exclaimed while hugging herself to stay warm. Did someone turn up the AC too high? Sonata frowned. Ugh, this bathroom stinks! And I don't mean the smelly kind of stink. I'm gonna give that Pixie girl a piece of my mind. Sonata turned around towards the metal door. She turned the long, thin handle door to open it, but the handle was stuck in place. With a grunt, she used both of her hands and pulled the handle with a little bit more force, but still it wouldn't budge. Desperate, she placed her leg on the wall next to the door, and then pulled the handle with all of her strength, until the handle popped out the door, causing her to fall and landed on her butt. Ignoring the pain from her bottom, she shifted her eyes back and forth between the broken handle, which was now in her hands, and the door with no handle. After her brain finally registered all of this, Sonata's eyes widened. Uh-oh.